you both are going to guess each other's 3 desert island musical choices from high school. Okay? That's the catch. And then we'll do one more little activity at the end. So let's do Dave. I want Dave to guess Michael's desert island, 3 desert island bands from high school that he could not live without.
The things he listened to in high school the most?
Things that, like, if he was shipped off to Martha's Vineyard and no one lived on it anymore, what albums would he want with the one record player left on the island?
Oh, God. Okay. So even the record. So I would definitely say his favorite artist back in high school for sure was Metallica.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He was a huge Cliff Burton fan. So I just remember all those old records. I mean, what is it? Like Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
What's the one?
So, I mean, the first one that I was exposed to was Master of Puppets.
Oh, yeah. That one, Battery, all those old songs.
Yeah, like I remember listening to the first track on Master of Puppets, which was Battery, and it really affected me in a very positive way. Like, so for those who don't know, like Battery opens up with like this very mellow, like Spanish guitar type intro, and then quickly kind of progresses into the more typical hardcore driving beat speed type metal that you expect. But just the dichotomy from the intro to the main part of the song for me it really blew me away, and I was kind of hooked on them right at that point.
Yeah, and just as an aside, I just remember my brother, once he fell into this genre of music, back in the day, college stations, like all these bands would tour through. And so you just needed to call to get tickets. And so here's my brother at like 16 years old, like calling to get these tickets for every one of these bands that came through. I don't care what it was. It could be these like Metallica or I don't know. It could name any of those bands.
And they were probably playing like smaller clubs,
they were playing
not
clubs.
arenas.
They were all playing clubs.
Or on like local college campuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I was 15, 16. I didn't have a license, and so my dad actually would drive me. Oftentimes I would go alone.
He would.
Sometimes I would go to friends like Alan and people like that, or Joe O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my dad would drive me, and he'd basically be like, I'm not interested in listening to this music, but I'll drive you, and I'll either come in with you, or if I go in and I think it's a safe environment, I'll just go wait out in the car, and when you're done, come out. And
it's like a punk day camp.
Yeah. And so
metal day camp.
He did that numerous times for me, which was kind of neat,
Yeah. So that would be one band. The second band I would probably say completely different altogether. My brother loves ZZ Top.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
More like Southern rock style.
Yeah, and like the blues.
Yeah.
The bluesy type influence,
Gotcha.
And, yeah, I was a big fan of them as well. I mean,
the beard, I see the beard didn't really catch on with you.
Yeah. I trim it a little too frequently.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say, you and I saw them together, right?
We did. We saw Metallica together also. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Nice.
So as much as, the bands that I liked weren't necessarily your favorites, as my older brother, I think you also felt like it was a good opportunity for us to kind of bond, and so you would often go to the concerts with me that you weren't necessarily 100% into, but you enjoyed music, you enjoyed live music, that whole scene, and I think, we felt it was a good bonding experience to kind of...
Yeah, and now, looking back on it, I mean, I feel like having a chance to go to see some of those bands in those clubs, it's like, who gets that chance?
Yeah, no, that's like the kind of thing where now when you're,
older,
let's say older, let's go with that.
Yeah.
When you're older and you're like, I'm going to US Bank to see Metallica or whatever, or I'm going to a literal NASCAR stadium with 100,000 seats in it to see Metallica or something.
Versus like...
I went and saw them at the local pubbery,
We were just talking about that a few days ago. Like, you see Slayer at like the local club, you're like...
Yeah.
And now it's like Slayer's a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, before it's like you tell your friends you're going to see Slayer and they're like, who the heck is Slayer?
Yeah.
So I think it's like a very interesting moment. And then I guess the third band, I don't know, he always loved Def Leppard's Pyromania.
Gotcha.
That was definitely one that I remember, right?
Yeah, no, I was a Def Leppard fan, and for sure. I guess I would say that you've nailed the first two for sure. Like I would say number 1 and number 2 were definitely Metallica and ZZ Top. Def Leppard for me was certainly in my top 5, I would say, in high school, but maybe number 3 for me, I would say might have been REM.
Oh, okay. That actually, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, like I think
That's yeah.
you know,
I get that.
and so really, I think the REM phase for me was more towards the back end of my high school years.
Got it.
And so you and I, you were in college, and we didn't overlap as much. You know, you had your own life and stuff, and so that's probably one that may have slipped through the cracks just because of the our age difference and the fact that you weren't so intimately involved in understanding what I was listening to,
like living next to you in the room.
My last 2 years in high school or something. But the first two for sure. You know.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was pretty good then.
Yeah.
Now let's flip the table here, and you're gonna guess Dave's, which I will find very interesting, to be honest.
So I would say for David, like for me, there's 2 easy ones, and then the third one, is a bit of a crapshoot, I would say.
Gotcha.
But for sure, number 1, and I think this goes back to something you said earlier, that you kind of followed your own taste and interest in music, because his number 1 band in high school was most certainly Triumph.
Triumph, okay.
And Triumph was not a mainstream band. Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Not sure if I know any of their work. Maybe I do.
Yeah, and I think that was not uncommon. Like I think the people in our town, in our high school, who knew of Triumph knew of them because of you. Like, quite frankly,
That could be true.
You were already marketing. You didn't even know.
Well, I was just, I was already selling
because
it.
they were not widely popular, right? And
They definitely were not
I'm not
widely
even sure how you latched onto them. Do you remember? Like,
I really feel like honestly it goes back to like one of Norman's friends. I feel like one of Norman's friends who played guitar liked them, and I checked it out, and I was like, it was like a melodic metal band, Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear it, I'm sure you and I will check it out later just because you'll be so bloody curious.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like very melodic rock.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Yeah.
How would you say it? I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like almost like light rock.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just like the melodies.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you're still addicted to that.
I am, right?
Yeah.
To your point, right? So I do think there's like if there was to go back to that's a great observation, I think.
But that has to be number 1, right, for you, like holistically.
Well, it depends what the other bands are.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, what's 2? What's 2?
Number 2 has to be Rush.
Rush. Okay.
See, now I would have said they were number 1 for me.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, but they're definitely 1 and 2.
I definitely would say that Triumph was a band that I listened a lot to in high school for sure. Rush, I feel like I absolutely loved. For sure.
Yeah, and you saw them probably more
than any
else.
band in high school.
Was that okay? So was that the like bass player thing? Was that it? Is that why you were?
No. At the time, believe it or not, my friends, Norman and the guys, actually wanted me to try to be in a band with them, but they wanted me to play keyboards.
Okay.
So it's kind of like when that Subdivisions record came out. I say Subdivisions, not that it wasn't that record, but it was that song, and so. They wanted me to learn all these things, so I literally bought a keyboard, Jeff, and started trying to learn all these super intricate, flatted 5th and 3rd parts, and had no clue how to do any of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like a weird, right? And so we used to get together and play Rush songs. It was like crazy.
I feel like also the thing with Rush is, you were friends with a lot of musicians even in high school, and you had some friends who were really like fantastic drummers, right? Mm-hmm. And like. I also feel like you might have gravitated towards them just because
I think you're right.
They realized what an exceptional drummer Neil Peart was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that
I think you're right.
Like that influenced them, and then
I'm sure it did. Yeah.
By association, you kind of got in that way as well.
Yeah, because in high school we had this. It's like you always have that one person in high school.
Yeah.
He kind of exceeded beyond his sort of the skill of the high school.
Yeah.
He was taking lessons in Boston, like with a famous drummer at the time from Berkeley.
Yeah.
He was listening to Frank Zappa well beyond any of us. He was listening to all these jazz people well beyond any of us. Like I was listening to like that whole jazz thing like the Michael Brecker saxophone guy because of him.
Oh yeah.
Got into that whole like that kind of jazz at the time because of him. So I think you're right. All of that stuff was because Mike was like into it, and I was his friend, and we were just like hanging out. So yeah.
That's cool.
And then what would you say the third one is?
So the third one,
This one should be interesting.
It's a little. I'm a little less certain on number 3 because 1 and 2 are just so clearly at the top of your list. But from my memory, I guess again, it's kind of another band that would not have been super popular. Was maybe more well known than Triumph, but I don't know, Jeff. When I name the band, you can tell me. But Level 42, I think.
Oh my God, yeah, wow. That's right.
Deep
I listen
cuts.
to them all the time. In fact, Norman would say that. If Norman was here, my buddy Norman, not that we bring him out of it, but like back in the day, he was like my closest friend that I played music with, and he would say that.
And this was well before Something About You came out. So Something About You kind of put them on the map, I think. And you were into them well before then, right? And
so that was definitely a bass thing. This guy did this like really crazy slap bassing thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely like that. Yeah.
So I would say that's the third one for me. Would you put them third?
I would probably do what you said about Def Leppard. I'd probably put them in the top 5. I would say that for me, Van Halen was one of those bands for me.
Oh yeah.
I loved Eddie Van Halen.
I mean that's pretty ripping.
In fact,
stuff
you used
there.
to call me Diamond Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, David Lee Roth was like...
In fact, I still do.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. So back in the day, like, I loved David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
And so...
That was your big one.
Oh,
that would have been in your top 3.
Oh, God, yeah. In fact, I could make an argument that even Van Halen was number 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like...
Well, it's okay that Michael doesn't know you as well as you know.
No, he does, because I would say
he actually named some like stuff that I'm like, I've never even heard of that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I would say that like back to the Rush thing for sure, Triumph for sure. It's like funny what you listen to like when you have rooms next to each other, like what you hear, right?
Oh yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
so that's good.
Okay, so to kind of bring this all wrap this all up into a nice little tight little bow, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, and I want you to guess the 3 without really going in too deep. Guess the 3 things you listen to now that's your top 3, your desert island nows. And we'll start with David. Go ahead and name Michael's 3 desert island bands now.
I think this is going to be easier for you.
Yeah, I think
it is for
He's
me.
Definitely let us know probably more. We're aware of Michael's
I'm going to go back to my
likes.
brother's top 3 from high school.
Yeah,
One,
it's probably not a bad starting place.
Right,
No.
so I'm definitely going to say if my brother was on an island today, where would he go? I definitely feel like Metallica would be one that he would take with him. I think a second one, I mentioned the band name, but I think he would take Slayer.
I thought that was one that would at least be guessed, or if not number 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, he so we have to say Slayer. And then the third one, I'm just going to say Sweet Caroline.
Just the song
Just
alone.
the song, because God, that's like, you love the Red Sox, and you're going to have to remember that on a desert island, so that's kind of just a funny one. I don't think you really take that, but...
Yeah, no, I think for sure Metallica and Slayer are still 2 of the bands I listen to most today. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I could come up with a third one like that easily, because it's it would be kind of a distant third after those 2, I think, in terms of what I listen to. But honestly, to answer this about you,
at this point, it would be hard.
It's really hard for me because
I think I would even have trouble. I might know.
So Jeff, why don't you take a shot, because you are closer to me.
So for me, I associate you now with a lot of your own stuff, right? And and like obviously
I would take my own stuff,
or music that your friends are doing,
right?
That's definitely true.
Like
I mean, I have to listen. I have to
stuff.
listen to myself over here more. I never listen to myself, for the record. I think
that's
don't.
a good choice, though. I mean, I think
to
answer that question super honestly. I mean, we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, but I love Brandon.
Yeah.
And everybody knows. All my friends know this, but I'm like one of his biggest fans, and I think I said it on the show, but I still think he's like one of the most talented folks that I've played with. But I just love his music more than anything. And so if I was on an island, I'd probably take that with me for sure. If I had to pick others, I think it'd
Wait, do you want me to guess?
Yeah.
now that you've said Brandon, I feel like it took one out, which
Okay.
I would have guessed Pat Metheny
Mm-hmm.
as for sure, which kind of spills over into Brandon's zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third, I feel like it's either. I feel like I would pick U2
Mm-hmm.
as one of the bands too, but then I also feel like there's a periphery of like other things that like some stuff I've showed you, some stuff other people have showed you. Like I remember watching or hanging out with you and Cliff one time, and I showed. I'd already showed you Zamudo, but we were listening to Zamudo, and you really dug that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he showed me Bonobo, and it was like you just go down the rabbit hole. But I feel like there's so much.
Yeah, this is all bells and whistles for me.
Yeah, I think that, like, to your point,
And that's partly why I like
it'd be impossible for you to get.
like the stuff that you put on your playlist when I'm here. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't recognize
any of it.
the majority of it.
Yeah.
Except when we're doing this fun thing about strolling down memory lane, right? But when you put on your
What I'm really listening to.
yeah, then
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of it. So it would be very difficult for me outside of your own music and like your friends original music that I wouldn't even know where to begin now.
Yeah, I think to your point. So my friend's music is certainly important to me. Jeff, to
Yeah.
go back to what you were saying, though, I think you're pretty close. I mean, I certainly have this long-standing love affair with Pat Metheny.
Yeah.
So
I
even
hear
though
that
it's-
often over here.
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
gonna say, even though it's really close to Brandon, I would still say that that's a thing. Everyone knows I'm a huge U2 fan. My brother even knows this. He took me to see them on their, what was it, the 25th anniversary of the Joshua Tree.
30th.
So 30th anniversary, right? So that was definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
And everybody knows because of my songwriting, I could probably pick 20 different songwriters that I really love, from John Mayer to some popular ones like him that I'm super happy to say that I love, to less known ones that I don't know. Like, to your point, like everybody knows recently I've been listening to a lot of Beatles and Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And I'm not just gratuitously throwing it out there, but to your point, these are just, it depends on like what week I'm in. I have all these curated playlists on my computer, so
Yeah.
it's like, to your point. And then, like, even before the show, what have I been listening to recently that...
You've been playing like some chill wave, like smooth jazz. I don't even know what I would call. What's the name of the band though?
It's like Flamingus or Flamingotus. Like, it's like, I just find these things, and so...
He gets pumped up by it.
I do. So I definitely think that, like, I definitely like some of those bands.
Yeah.
What is that kind of music even called?
I mean, I would call it like funky, smooth kind of stuff. I'm not really 100% sure.
Yeah, so I definitely think you're right, Michael. It's like way farther apart.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I could pick three.
So
if I had to, I would. But
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many, and I feel like three is like, it's like when somebody comes up and they're like, who's your favorite drummer? And I'm like, that is literally a question I can't like answer well. This is kind of in that realm of like, really only three? There's probably hundreds that we all listen to.
Well, to your point, Jeff, I've even recently thought if I was going to do this, I even tried to make a list of 50.
Oh yeah.
And I tried to make that list, and I did. But then I found that
But it could be bigger.
But even when I got to the bottom of the list, I was like, okay. For like the month or so after that, I kept taking things off and putting things on and taking things off.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't know.
Never ends.
It does.
But it's going to end right now. We are wrapping up our very first interview in the journaling room, is what I'll call it, from the two blue velvet seats. Blue velvet, big theme around here.
Mm-hmm. That's
So, thanks for joining us today, Michael. Super great to see
totally
you in
psyched.
person.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And-
Thanks for having me on. And
Of course.
hopefully this will actually make it onto one of the shows.
We're going to snip and snap it up and really just put it. We're going to get it even better than it was in person. It's going to be that good.